A will is a basic document that allows you to do a limited number of things. It allows you to identify an executor for your estate. That's the person that's going to manage your affairs after you've passed away. It allows you to make limited planning for the distribution of your assets. Some people use a will to designate guardians for their minor children. It's sort of a foundational document. Everyone should, at minimum, have a will. A living will and a living trust are often confused with one another, I think, because they both have the name living in the title. A living will is an advanced healthcare document. It basically provides instructions for end of life. A living trust, however, is a sophisticated estate planning document that allows us to do a lot of planning with, in terms of how your assets will be distributed. One question I get a lot is it better to have a will or a trust? And I think that is a question where there's not a cookie cutter answer. I think that it's a highly personal thing based on a lot of factors. The biggest factor is what is important to you in terms of are the things that are important to you able to be accomplished by a will? If that's the case, then a will is sufficient. If the things that are important to you are not able to be accomplished by a will, then a trust is probably a better vehicle for you. Oftentimes, we use a will and a trust together. The will basically says, hey, I have this trust, so that's the thing that actually controls the distribution of my assets. And then the trust allows us to create a much more sophisticated plan. So a will is a really basic estate planning document. A trust is a much more sophisticated estate planning document. A will has some disadvantages, and which is often why a will is paired with other estate planning documents. The first thing, a will only, and I know this seems odd to say, but a will only has legal effect after you've passed away. And so one of the issues that people run into is if they have minor children, they put guardian nominations in a will. That's a great first step. But the problem is what happens if you're incapacitated but still living? That will doesn't have any legal effect at that point. Similarly, a will has to go through probate. I think people need to set up wills for a lot of different reasons. The most basic is you just want to clarify what happens at the time of your death. Even if you don't have substantial, assets, if you don't have a lot of money to worry about, just simply nominating an executor, saying this is the person I would like to, that I trust to be in charge of my affairs after my death can simplify things a great deal. And then of course, with a will, you can waive the bond that an executor would have to put up, which can save a lot of money for the estate. If nothing else, it can give you some rudimentary direction on on how your assets are distributed and divided among the people that you want them to go to. And the important thing is, if you don't have a will, your assets will only go to your family members. You can create your own will. Again, there's a lot of online resources. The problem with doing so, in my opinion, is you don't know the quality of the document you're going to get at the end of the day. And you don't know that it's actually going to achieve the goals that you have. I think our clients hire us to be their representation for a wide variety of reasons, but the biggest one, I think, is authenticity. We limit the number of clients we take in on a monthly basis because we want to spend the adequate amount of time with each client to make sure that we really understand you, we understand your circumstances, and we're not shipping out the same set of documents for every client, but it's highly personalized. The other thing that I think a lot of clients really enjoy is the fact that we're very educationally focused. We want you as a client to be empowered to understand what we're doing and why we're doing it. I don't adopt a prescriptive approach. I'm not here to tell you what you need. I'm here to help you understand exactly what the options are to achieve the goals that you have. I think our current and past clients would both agree that they had an exemplary experience. I think that they would genuinely say that they were met with caring and compassion, that they were heard and listened to, and they achieved exemplary results. Client communication is the most important thing, in my opinion. And that's why I work very hard to keep the channels of communication open. My goal is to return an email inquiry within 24 hours. I try very hard to return telephone calls the same day that I receive them, because I want you to know that I am listening to what you're saying, I'm working on your case, and I'm sensitive to your concerns. We are a very small firm, and we're a small firm by design. When I was in law school, I worked for a very, very small law firm. And my boss had been in the practice of law for longer than I've been alive. And so she had developed these rich relationships with clients, sometimes going across multiple generations, 2 and 3 generations of family members. And I was really blown away by the fact that she was able to do that. And it wasn't just a transaction, it wasn't a name or a file or a dollar amount. The goal when I established this firm was to recreate that experience and to be able to develop those deep, meaningful relationships with clients. So I will not hand your case off to another lawyer because I'm the only lawyer here. I feel really strongly about developing that relationship between the attorney and the client. Now, that being said, I don't hesitate to say if I feel like we're not a good match, if it's not a type of matter that I feel totally comfortable handling, or I feel like you may benefit from another lawyer better, I will certainly refer you to another lawyer. But once we've signed the agreement, I'm going to be doing the work on your case. The initial case consultation starts with sitting down and kind of looking at the big picture. Talking about what's important to you. We talk about your family situation. We talk about your assets. And we determine whether a will is really the best thing for you. And then once we determine exactly what kind of planning we're doing, then we'll actually talk in detail about the specifics of your plan. So by the time you've left at the end of your initial consultation, we're actually ready to start drawing up those documents.